All right, so in this lecture, we're going to talk about three betting basics. And when we talk about three betting, there are pre-flop three bets and post-flop three bets. Now, this course is going to focus solely on pre-flop three betting because when people talk about three betting in general, when we talk about theoretical three betting, when we talk about three betting on forums and hand history reviews, typically people are only talking about pre-flop game. They're not talking about the post-flop game and raises and re-raises and so forth. So that's going to be entirely different. But whenever you hear about three betting, 99.9% of the time people are going to be talking about pre-flop three betting. So what is a pre-flop three bet? A lot of people get this mixed up. They don't 100% understand what a pre-flop three bet is. The pre-flop three bet is the initial pre-flop re-raise. So what in the world does that mean? Well, pre-flop, the blinds are considered the first bet. So when somebody does an initial raise, let's say the first person in under the gun raises to three big blinds, and you have pocket aces in middle position, when you re-raise him, that is considered the third bet. So the blinds are the first bet. The second bet into the pot, the raise, would be considered the second bet, and your third bet is going to be considered that re-raise. So when somebody raises and you re-raise them pre-flop, that initial re-raise is called a three bet. Now, if you get re-raised again, that's considered a four bet. And if you get re-raised again after that, that's a five bet and so forth. So just remember that the three bet is going to be when you're re-raising the initial raiser. So why do we three bet? Now that we know that three betting, what it is pre-flop, why do we three bet? Well, there's two different reasons why we would three bet. And one is for value and one is as a bluff. So when we have a hand that we consider that is too good to call, then we want to three bet for value. So when we have a hand such as pocket kings or pocket aces, we are going to be three betting for value, meaning we think we have the best hand. And of course, when you have aces or kings, especially at the lower stakes and the micro stakes online, we're pretty much guaranteed to almost have the best hand 99.9% of the time, unless you have kings that run into aces, which does happen. But when you don't, you're going to be three betting for value. So let's switch that around. Now, what if we have a hand that we can't call a raise with? Let's say that somebody opens pre-flop and we have a ragged hand, for example, ace deuce suited or pocket threes, and we know we're typically almost never ahead here. At best, maybe a coin flip. We don't want to call a raise. So what's the other reason why we can three bet? Well, we can three bet as a bluff. So when we have a hand that we consider too bad to call, we can use hands such as these to three bet as a bluff. And so when we're three betting, we're either three betting for value or three betting as a bluff. I mean, either you have a hand that's ahead of their range or a hand that is behind their range, a hand that you want to get it in with or a hand that you don't want to get in with. So it's either value or bluffs. So let's break this down even further. So now we know that we want to three bet our hands either as a bluff or as a value. Well, what in the world do we call those in the poker world? Well, when we are three betting for value, we're three betting what people call a linear or non-polarized range. And when we are three betting as a bluff, potentially as a bluff, it's considered a polarized range. So a linear range doesn't include any bluffs. People are either going to say linear or non-polarized. And a polarized range is going to include a combination of all these hands that are too bad to call and too good to call. So a polarized range is going to include both bluffs and value three bets. So that's our three betting basics. In the next few slides for the next lecture, I'm going to go in a bit more detail, and I'm going to highlight some examples of linear and polarized three betting ranges to give you a better idea of what they are. So I'm going to help you visualize them with some actual screenshots of ranges. So if you have any questions about the basics behind three betting, please let me know. If not, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next lecture.